All right, everybody, we're just going to kick it off there. So for anybody who doesn't know me yet, I'm Lauren Marr. I'm a Learning Technology Officer in the TEL department. So I also have my colleague Nal Fahy online. So if anybody has any questions throughout the session, you can just pop them into the chat, whether that's on Zoom or YouTube, and we'll get back to you throughout the session then. So we're just going to kick us off here with our session, checking and managing your assignments in Canvas. So in this session today, we're going to be covering the following. So we're reviewing assignment settings, security and integrity of assignments, original assignment settings, finding submitted assignments, and the gradebook settings. So just before we begin, I just want to point everybody to the staff help articles. It's kind of something that we always point everybody to, staff obviously. So this is just our help section that we have created at the TEL department. So we have our top articles of the month, will always show at the top, and as you scroll down, we've a variety of help documents on a whole load of different subjects and topics that you might need. So if you're ever having any difficulty with anything Canvas related, or it might be Zoom related, anything really, just have a check here. You can search for the keyword, and if you're not finding the answer there, you can obviously always contact us. We are edtech@mtu.ie, so you can just submit a ticket there and somebody will back to you then as soon as possible. We also have our training videos up on our YouTube channel. So this is a really good resource. Every training session that we do gets recorded and put up here. So we have a different variety of tutorials on like a whole lot of different things. So especially on things like assignment settings, we have some dedicated to the original plagiarism detection software that's in there as well. And we also have stuff on the gradebook and integrity. So there's many sessions there available within our YouTube training sessions. And then just another really good resource that I'd like to point out. I'm sure most staff have heard of it by now. So this is our Canvas Learn for Staff. So this is this module here. This was created by TEL, just to kind of get you to know your ins and outs of Canvas. So, you're getting started, and then you've different sections on all the different things you need. So, creating and managing your assignments is here. Just, creating and managing different types of content as well. Here's a section on original, accessibility, quizzes, feedback and grading, analytics, variety of third-party tools in there. Additional software. So there's a whole lot of stuff in there. So it's a really, really helpful resource for anybody that's either just getting started on Canvas or just needs a refresher on a certain topic. So this course is made that you don't need to go through it unit by unit. You can pop into the units and you can jump in wherever you need to then to see where you want to go. We also have then our not to be missed section. And we just keep this updated then with anything that we think you might need to know. So that's good to kind of just keep popping back and forth and make sure that you're getting all the relevant information you need. The first thing that we're going to look at today, so I'm just going to jump straight into our demonstrations. So we have our assignments and quiz settings inside of Canvas. So I'm just going to open up this one here. So this is just a test module that we use for our training sessions. But it'll look very similar to any of your own modules. The layout of modules can vary a little bit, but I think kind of the most standard one used would be something like this as your home page, or it would look like this as your units page. So basically you have your units here, which is this like your containing folder, and then you can pop in some pages, assignments, a whole variety of different things you need, files, whatever it is that you need to pop in within that unit. So you can see here we have our week 1, we have an example file and a video. Week 2, we've assessment options and a video. Week 3, we've an assignment brief. So it just depends on what way you need to set up. Week 6, then there's a quiz in there. So the first thing I'll just go through with you is bring you to the assignment section. And you can see then this is the variety of assignments that we have created. So you see all your assignments in here as well. So I'll just bring you through just the first one here is webinar 1. So if I just click into this, we can see how this is set up here. So, the description would be here. We have added in a PDF here. So it's the assessment guidelines. You click this, it'll download it for you. It's telling me how many points I get for this assignment. submitting is telling me it wants a file upload in there. So, I mean, you could have that as like a text entry or something. So that would give the information there, how many attempts each student is allowed. So that's set to 1. And then so this part here might look a little bit different. You could have usually only 1 line here, or this one is set up so that it's set up so we have 2 students. This assignment is available from the 2nd of May to the 31st of May. And for everybody else, it's the 2nd of May to the 24th. So this is helpful for obviously these 2 students had some kind of sorry, I've lost the word. They have some kind of reason that they need an extra week, you know what I mean? So that's why that's added like that. So I'll just go in there into the edit just to show you how that's set up. So as you can see here, this is our descriptions put in here. So this could have been put anything in here. So this is the description. And then so I'll leave that there because we want students to be able to download that, and that might just give some their guidelines then that they need if there's any additional information. So then obviously you got your points here, so I can change that to whatever we need it. We have our assignment group, so this is just set to our summative assignment. Again, we could just have it to our normal assignments, or it could be in a different group that we've made, but for the minute I'm happy for that to be at summative. And do we want to display the grade as points or percentage, complete or incomplete? I like to kind of keep that set to percentage or else points, depending on your own personal preference, to be honest. And then save the option then here. Do not count this assignment towards the final grade. So, if you're doing practice assignments or something, you could put that in there. But otherwise, I'm happy for that to give a grade and for that to be added into the grade book then. So then the next section here is your submission type. So in here, you have the options to have no submission, online, on paper, or an external tool. So at the minute, I want this to be an online submission. And so this was kind of just referencing earlier. You could have that to be a text entry. You could have it to be a website URL, a media recording, a student annotation, or a file upload. So I'm happy for that. I want them to upload their own file. So I want them to upload a document. And so then you can restrict upload file type. So if I click that, I could say, the only file extensions I'm allowing could be a doc or a PDF or something. But, usually that's okay to be unclicked. Next thing then is we have our submission attempts. So this is how many attempts are allowed per student. So you can set this to unlimited or limited. So, if you set it to unlimited, they can upload it as many times as they need to, or you could just set it to limited. Typically, I like to set it to maybe 2, just in case just in case somebody has an issue with their first upload, or something like that. You know what I mean? Just gives people the extra attempts there if needed. And then our next section then is the plagiarism review. So I'll come back to this now in a couple of minutes, but for this one right now, I don't want any plagiarism review, so I'm going to leave that one set to none. And then we have a group assignment. Is it a group assignment? It's not for the minute, so I'm happy there. Do we require peer reviews? I don't, but if I did, I just click that, and then how to assign them. I can manually assign them or automatically. For the minute though, I'm happy for that to be no peer review. And so this is the part that I was showing you earlier. So we have these 2 students, Mary O'Sullivan and myself. So we have the extra week added on there. So just kind of go through these with you. So your due date is the date that you want this assignment to be due. And then you have your available from and your available to. So available from, students will be able to see it and click into it from the 2nd of May. They will be able to see it and submit to it until the 31st. But if I wanted this to be due on the 24th of May, I would have it like this. So this would mean that the assignment is due on the 24th of May. However, they can still submit until the 31st of May. It'll just be marked as late. So that's just kind of what that means there. If you wanted it that, after this exact time, it closes, they can't submit after it, you just match those 2 there. So that just means once it hits 3:20 on the 31st, it'll close. They won't be able to submit to it. But otherwise, they would still be able to submit. It would just come up, you're submitting this assignment late. So that's just to give you an idea then of what those are for. And then, so the way we have this set up is for these two, we have it set up different. And then we just have it for everybody else. So if I wanted to add another one there, I could just add it. If I had one student, so for instance, if Niall had to submit to this as well, I want it same time, so I needed to be available from the 2nd of May, same time as everybody else. And then if I wanted it to be, where everybody else, he has to submit, but maybe Niall might need like an extra hour or something. We could just add it like that. And the same thing then as well. We want to either copy it to close it for him there, or I could leave it open for a little bit longer here, and he could submit to it late. So let's just kind of give you an idea then of the different ways that you can set up your assignment and the different settings that are in there. So when we save that back out, then we can see it very clearly that we have our two students, that it's all available from the same time, and these ones have that week extra then to submit. So that's just your assignment settings there. So the next thing then that I just want to very quickly show you is your original plagiarism detection as settings there. So if we remember, I went back here just as if we're going to make a regular assignment, but we want to add some plagiarism detection to it. So what we want to do is go down to our plagiarism review box, and where it says none, you just need to change that to be original. You can see there that the box there just updates, and it gives us some additional settings there. So just before I go into those settings, it just needs to be noted that plagiarism, the plagiarism review, it's never 100%. It's more used as like a guide for yourself. It'll match up as best it can to any other text or documents that are in the original plagiarism software. But it's never the end all be all. It's not the gospel. So it's more used as a guide. If something flags up, you can then go and look into it a little bit more yourself and do a little bit more research to see what the issue is, and if something has been flagged with plagiarism detection. So once you set it to the original, you have these two additional options pop up then. So you have the option to submit it as anonymous. So if students want to anonymously submit it, I just click that. Or this one's quite important for if anybody is setting up for draft submissions. So do not save documents submitted to this assignment in original. So if somebody was doing a practice submission or a draft for like any kind of assignment or a thesis or something like that, if you wanted them just to have a place where they could just run it through and do a quick check, you just check this box here. And that just means then that none of it'll come back and give them a plagiarism score and give them an indication of what's flagged up for them, but their actual document then won't save into the original software, because otherwise, if they then resubmitted to the assignment, it would come up as 100% plagiarized as their first version is saved into the system. So just to get around that there, just click we don't want to save this to original. And then the last thing then is you want to show the reports to students. So you have a couple of different options there. You can show them immediately, after the assignment's graded, after the due date, or never. So that just comes down to your personal preference when you would like students to receive that plagiarism score and report. Perfect. So I'm just going to bring it in now, and we'll just check out the quiz settings. So that's all the assignments the assignment settings that you need to know about. That's your original settings, and so I'll just bring into the quiz there. So we have a couple of quizzes set up. So let's go to this first one here. So obviously you have your quiz name, so you just give that a nice descriptive name so that students know what they're working with. How many points or what percentage this quiz is going to be worth. You just set that up the same way as you would with your assignment settings. Again, you could have you set your group. So this is a quiz, so that's going into that group. And you still have your option there whether or not you want to count the assignments towards the final grade. So because it's a quiz, your submission type is automatically set to an external tool. So that's fine. We won't need to touch anything there. And then again, you still have your same settings as before. So you got your assigned to. So everybody this time, I don't have anybody that needs any additional time or anything. So I'm happy to just assign that to everybody. I have the due date set. Obviously, this is an old quiz, so just excuse the date on it there. But it's set to the 26th of October. And you can see here that this is set to the exact same time here. So the due and the until, when they're the same, that means that once this time hits, the quiz will close and nobody else will be able to submit. So they have it available there just for the 24 hours there. Something that's helpful here as well, if you only wanted this to be a time-bound assessment, if you wanted it to, take place for an hour only, and the best way to do this, say we just change this to 11 a.m. and I'm just going to put this as the same. I'm going to change this to 12. I usually like to do like 12, like 5 or something, just to give people the extra minute or two between like turning it on, letting it load up, and then saving it out. And then so my due date, then I'm going to save that to the same. So that means then it will be available from the 25th at 11 o'clock, and it'll close then at 12:05. So they only have an hour and 5 minutes to go in, complete it, and then it'll close. So that's just something there that'll be useful for you to know. So for quizzes then, so when you are in these settings, these are the first set of settings, and then you can enter your build area. And this presents you then with a whole other side of settings then that you can go through. So first in your build area is where you build your quiz, you add your title, add your different types of questions there. You have your item banks here at the side. If you want to pull in from a previous bank that you've created, you can do that. We have a whole video on setting up quizzes and item banks and things like that on our YouTube channel. If you're looking for some more information on that, just let me know. I'd be happy to send you on any links that we have, but as I said, it's all there for you, either on YouTube or Canvas Learn or in our help docs there. You'll be able to find everything you need. So that's your build area. Then you have your settings area. So this has a variety of settings here. So you could turn on and off your shuffle questions, shuffle the answers. You can show one question at a time. One question at a time is helpful for longer quizzes, I would say, just because sometimes students do unfortunately have connection issues if they're taking the quiz, and say it's a very long quiz, could have like 30 to 50 questions. If they answer all of them when it's not set to one question at a time, they could get to the end of the page and something can always go wrong when someone's trying to submit, and they could lose all the questions in like it could be a time-bound assessment. They could have an hour to do it, and when they get to the end, it's lost. So a nice way to counteract that is if you have it set to one question at a time. Each time they move to like the next page with the next question on it, it'll automatically save for them. Now it does, as far as I know, if this is off, it does automatically save it, but it's not. It's just every so often. So it still has that caution in there, like you could there could be an issue. So maybe if it's a long quiz, definitely I think one question at a time would be worth them doing. We also have options to require a student access code, and then we have a time limit there. So this is handy, so you could set this to an hour and it'll just give you an hour timer on the quiz, but this is a different setting to the one that I showed you previously. So if you wanted it to be a time-bound assessment, we would advise that you use the previous settings that I was showing you and set your available from, available to, and your due date. But at least this will show you then that you have a timer in the corner, and it'll let students know, they have an hour and how long they've left and stuff. So kind of use either both together or just use the one in the main settings. This one on its own isn't really good enough. And then, so yeah, you also you can add calculator, you can allow multiple attempts. So if you do choose to allow multiple attempts, you can then choose, if you want them to keep the highest score, the last score, the average score, and then you can choose how many different attempts that they have there. So if we click that then, so we've unlimited or limited, so, you can limit that and give them all 3 attempts at this quiz. You can add a waiting period. So if you're whether or not you want them to have to wait 5 minutes between each attempt or something, that's just, again, it's just personal preferences. And then the last thing here then is your restrict student result view. So this is a quite important one then for your quiz. So this, once you check it, it gives you a variety of different options. So whether you want to show the points awarded, so overall and per question, so we can show the points. Do we want to show the points that were possible? Yeah, that's still good for them to know. Do we want to show items and questions? Yeah, we can show the student response. Do we want to indicate the response is correct or incorrect? So that's okay. We can tell them whether or not they've got the question right or wrong, and then show the correct answer with incorrect response. So this is one that if you're giving them more than one attempt, you don't want to show them the answer obviously right away. But if you have this set to just one attempt, you could show them the right answer, and then if there's feedback, you can show them that. So it just depends again on what the needs are for your actual quiz, and what suits your needs best. But that's just those settings there in the build area of your quiz. And then so obviously you got your reports in here, and then the moderate section as well is the next important one then that I just wanted to show you there. So when you go into the moderate section, there's a couple of different things that you can do from here. So you can see your attempts that each student has taken. So I'll pop open another one in a second just to show you how this looks when people have. So you can see how many attempts they've taken, their score, how long it's taken them a log, and you can add some additional time here. So just let me jump back out of here and I'll see if one of the other ones have some answers there. Perfect. So in this quiz here, so I've just gone back into my moderate section inside the build area. So I can see here, Mary O'Sullivan did one in her first attempt. She got 80%, took her 23 minutes, and I can view the log there and see. So, at 0 minutes, entered 5, she answered this question, 7, 9, and you can just see then, how long. So the quiz then finished after 15 minutes, 24 seconds. So, that's good to know there. So I can go back to my moderate. As you can see here, poor Niall had a bit of an issue with this quiz. He used all 5 of his attempts. He got 20% in the first one and then didn't do very well for the second one. So again, it's just a place where you can see how many attempts the person has taken, what their scores were. You can see, how long they were in that quiz and working for. So as you can see, people are not in the quiz very long. Obviously, we're in our test module. We'd want these to be a lot higher in real life. And then you have here your accommodations. So you can see that Lauren, I had 10 minutes extra to do my quiz. Niall didn't get any extra minutes. His says +0 there because I had given him extra and then took it away, but otherwise it would just say none there. And then so just if you would click here on this moderate section here, we also have the options then, so I can give some additional attempts from here. And I can give some additional time from here as well, so I can add them on an extra few minutes if needs be. That's just kind of the settings for your quizzes. So there's a few of them there, so they're always worth going in and having a look. So I'm going to return here and I'll bring us back into our presentation then for a second. So that's kind of everything that we need to know about setting up our assignments, setting up the original assignment, and setting up our quiz. So that's all those settings in there. So then, some key questions. So these are the things that you should just be checking with yourself then after you have finished setting up your assignment or quiz. So have you communicated all relevant information to your students? So this can include like times, duration of the assessment, any special instructions that they may need, and most importantly, how to contact you if there's an issue. Is your assignment published and available to students? So that's just bring us back in here. So as we can see here, this assignment here is published, this quiz, but none of these other ones are. So if I enter this student view, I can see this is the only one here that's available to me because it's the only one that's published. So, that's just really important to make sure that whether it be a quiz or an assignment, that you have the right ones published there. So you can see just by the screen tick that it is. And again, just by entering the student view, I can go in and click onto it. And I just want to make sure that that opens correctly and everything for you. So that's just one thing you always kind of want to do after you create any kind of assessment, quiz, whatever it may be. You want to just check that student view and make sure it looks how you want the student to see it, basically. So our students able to access the assessment. So, you know, just basically what I've said there about going into the student view and double checking it in there. Have you ensured that the students cannot see any important files prior to the assessment? So this is an important one as well. So let's just jump back in here. So on your side here, you have your menu. What you can see here, anything with the little eye, with the line through it, means students cannot see this. And if there's no eye there, it means students can. So just to jump back into the student view really quickly, we can see here that this menu has gotten quite a bit shorter there, because anything that had the eye with it, I can't see. It's not available to students. So if I had any files in here that may have answers on it, it may be useful, you know, it might have been something that I went through last week and I'm now giving a test on it or something. There's a whole different array of reasons why you might have files in there that you don't want the students to be able to access, especially during like a quiz or assessment. So the best thing to do then is just go into your settings, into your navigation area, and make sure that your files is pulled to this end. So you just drag them up and down. So you want to make sure it's dragged to this side so that it's not visible then. So when the students are submitting, they can't get into those files and see anything that you don't want them to see, basically. So accommodating student needs, that's basically just that was the word I couldn't remember earlier, accommodating. So yeah, that's basically when students have extra accommodations that they need during a quiz. You can add some extra time for them. All those settings are available there within the quiz and within the assignments. So again, it's just going through and making sure that you have everything set up for them. Yeah, and again, so that's just about the timer and stuff there that we've just gone through on the Canvas quizzes. So yeah, the next thing then that I'm just going to quickly go through with you is the security and integrity of assignments there. Yeah, so yeah, I've just gone through the first two there. So again, that's just checking that your files are hidden, that you've checked everything in the student view. And then the third one here is the grade posting policy. So if we go in here, we're going to just have a quick look at the grade book here. So we just click on our grade section, and this will pull up then the grade book for me. A common question we kind of get sometimes is that, you know, I've made an assessment, I've made a quiz, I can't see it here on the grade book. It's quite long, depending on how many things you have in there. So you just need to scroll down all the way to the right or all the way to the left to make sure you can see everything there. So just very, very briefly, the grade book. So we have all the students' names. Along these columns then we have each assignment or each quiz. It tells us there whether it's been published or unpublished. And then it gives us the score of what the students have gotten then from the quiz. So if, you know, I looked at someone's and I thought, you know, they got 40, but they actually, there was one or two questions that they got an extra couple of marks on, whatever, you can edit it here, or like that, you know, if somebody had some kind of extra accommodation that they needed, you can go in here and directly edit their assignment score from here. And then, so grade posting policy, we have a grade posting policy for the entire lot of the grade book. So just to bring it back there. So I'm just going into this little cog here to open up the settings. And we can see here, so we have our late policy and our grade posting policy. Grade posting policy, we always want to have a set to manually post the grades. Reasons for this is because if somebody does a quiz, or if you're going through the assignments and say you've 20 people in your class, and you know you start and you give the first 3 or 4 their grades, if it's automatically releasing to them, then you might get people then saying, where's mine? I didn't get mine yet. Or like that, if they, as soon as they submit a quiz, they'll get the answer. If that's not something you want, it's always just best to have your grades set. You're manually posting the grades there. So that just means then they won't be sent out until you decide, basically. And then B, second thing there is that each assignment, each quiz has its own little grade posting policy in here as well. So you just want to double check that. Same thing, make sure it's set to manually as well. I like that. If you had one assignment that you didn't mind it going automatically, you could change that from there. But rule of thumb is just kind of always put them to manual. Okay, so speed grader then, just really quickly how we get into our speed grader. So if we click on the name there, we can just get a quick overview of Niall's grades, and so click here. And there's a nice quick overview here of all his different grades, the different scores that he's got, and the score of 100 that we've got then as well. So it's just a nice place to come and find it. And again, you have your individual grade book then, so you can go through a section by section or individual view, or you can just open back up your main grade book there. So that's the best way of doing that there. Sorry, just want to double check something there. And sorry, we have, just to mention as well, we have the rubrics here as well. So if anybody did want to add a rubric for their students, that's no problem at all. Just as I explained earlier, you just go into your settings and make it visible, create your rubric. The only thing is you need to show it to your students. If you're creating a rubric, it's obviously the point so students know what they can do and what kind of marks and that they're trying to aim for, how they can achieve them. So if you're going to be using a rubric, then the best thing there is to make that visible to students then. So I think that's everything I wanted to show everybody. If there's any questions, you can please let me know. Otherwise, I'll just go through the supports with you then. So as always, we have the main Canvas supports. So if you have any issues, anything Canvas related, you can just go into the help section. And then we have here, so you have your telephone support, so that's free call number. You can give them a call if you need it. One of the ones I always recommend is the web chat. So we've this for faculty and for students. It takes less than 5 minutes-ish for them to answer. So if you need something and it's quite urgent, that's the best way to get in contact with them. Otherwise, you can submit a ticket, which is like an email for them. But yeah, so it just depends on the urgency of it. Obviously, we have our TEL supports here. This I went through them at the start, with just a variety of different help documents and everything there. And as always, you can just contact us at edtech@mtu.ie if you have any further questions. So I'm just going to leave that for a minute there, see if anybody has any questions, and you can just you can pop in the chat or raise a hand, whatever you need to do. I'll just give it a couple of minutes there. I just have a question just coming in there. It's from an anonymous attendee there. So it's just asking about, can answers be downloaded into a spreadsheet? So yeah, you can, answers from a quiz. They can't download answers for into like a spreadsheet, but for a quiz, probably the easiest way. I'll just show you there. Oh, sorry. So the way you do it with the quizzes is there's a print button on the quiz, and then that way then you're able to print the answers then as well. So you could preview the quiz and sorry, 2 seconds there and I find it. I think we go into the student and we're able to get all their answers to the quiz, and you're able to print that answer then from there, and you can have a PDF with all their answers in the quiz. You're not able to put them into CSV. It would just be like, instead of printing it, you just print it to the CSV. You just print it as like a PDF, sorry, I must say. Yeah, so there's the question, it's quite a long question, but says you'd like students to be able to enter the units for the answer. So the way you can do it is you can give them a question with an open-ended answer, so they could just write the answer in themselves. That way then it's not like multiple choice where they're getting a hint or anything. They'd have to type the answer in themselves, and then the way that works is the quiz doesn't grade that. It would just flag it that you need to come back and check on it then afterwards. And that way then you would manually input that grade for them. But yeah, and then in regards to the rubric, then you can't hide a rubric for students. So if you're creating a rubric for students, you need to show them the rubric, just so they have an idea. I think that's everything there answered. So yeah, if we have no more questions, I'll just give it an extra minute there and we'll close it down. I hope that's helpful for everybody there. If there's anything else that you need me to go through with you, please just let me know now. Otherwise, I will. I'll give it a minute or two just in case there's anything on YouTube blagging. Sorry, just one thing I just wanted to show you. I mentioned it earlier and then it slipped my mind just to show you if anybody wants to enter the speed grader. So obviously you have your grade book here, but if you want to go into the speed grader, probably the easiest way to get into that is by going into your assignments, opening up any assignment, and you have your speed grader option here. Just very, very quickly go through that with you there. Just letting that load up. But basically you have your speed grader, it'll open up whatever the assignment is, whatever they've uploaded. You then have the option, this was set up as an original assignment, so I can resubmit that to original there, get a plagiarism score, or I could add some comments there as I go, or different types of feedback. I was giving me a bit of trouble because not many people have uploaded to that, but just kind of give you an idea then. There's a variety of different things that you can do from inside the speed grader then. But yeah, the main thing then would be that you'd be able to provide feedback and give them a grade and everything there, and you can just flick back and forth through then to be able to go through them all very quickly. Right, I think we'll wrap it up there, guys. Come here, thanks very much for coming. We really appreciate it. As always, if you have any questions, you can contact any of us at the TEL team at edtech@mtu.ie. Hope everybody has a nice day. Thanks so much.